Hey, so good evening, good morning, happy Friday, happy Saturday. It's not that I don't know what the day is, but the today isn't really important. The time, the day of the week, it's not important. It's important that we rejoice because this is the day that the Lord has made. Anyway, my name is Augustus C. Foster, host of the Man Talk Monday podcast that you're listening to right now. Um, I'm an author, writer, podcaster, father, flawed believer, public speaker, mental health, whole lot of things that you see on all my social media and my LinkedIn. What I am today is someone taking you on a journey, a series that I finally completed, still delaying and or not delaying, but staggering releases for this series. If you know me, I'm a father of five, four natural born children, one adopted, who, being quite honest at this point of the game, she's not adopted. I'm the only one she's ever known. And I decided to talk about that. But in the process of talking about that, being a father and being specifically a stepfather, or foster dad, whatever tag you want to put on it, bonus dad, etc., I would toss back ideas back and forth with friends, associates, people in passing, men that I've known for years. And I started noticing one of the commonalities between me and a lot of these dudes I was connected with was we were all not just fathers, but all of us were stepfathers. And this series really began organically about 2.5 years ago. I would just be having these honest convos, and they were clearly unfiltered. Some people use far more colorful language than myself. And in these conversations, it would go from not just the high points and the successes and the amazing, moments that we all had, but it would really, whether by text or Zoom or in shared groups or in person or in like on break at workspaces or at family events, these would really escalate, not to tone where someone was loud or boisterous or angry, but it was almost somewhat of a righteous anger. These men, including myself, would be crying out, wondering, like, does anyone see the work and the effort that we're putting in? Like, is it really respected? We're told that this role that you take is so honorable, and it's just so honorable. But in reality, like, is it? Do I see that? Do I get that? And in these conversations, like the men range at the time when I started having these talks, the youngest was 25, the oldest had just turned 82. And these are men from all different backgrounds, like dudes who've been doing it for 3 decades, dudes who've been doing it for 2 years, dudes who'd married their children, been at the weddings, walked down the aisle, dudes who shared the aisle at weddings with like the bio dad, men who had the tough decision of divorcing the mother and then being ousted from the family, seeing their treatment. And then, possibly the worst of the worst, men who'd children that they brought in, accepted, and loved on their own. Sadly, they had to bury some of those children. So in all these conversations, I would talk to these men, talk to these dudes, talk to these loved ones, these confidants, these associates, these counselors, these men. And I never asked, like, it's just free flowing talk. And I never asked a specific question until I realized that I wasn't creating content, but that I was seeing patterns. And I loathed the pattern that I was witnessing in real time. And I began to somewhat shift or pivot, if you will, to again not making content but wanting to see with these commonalities, with these shared experiences, what were their ideas for other men, what were their thoughts for other men. So I finally broke down, and with all of them I just would reach back and I asked, hey man, not if you could do it over again, not if you could, no, not from standpoint of regrets, but I asked them each, if you knew a dude, not you, not someone who's ideally you, but from your experiences, from the things that you've lived, from the things that you've suffered, from the blessings, from the wins, from the graduations, the marriages, the victories, all the way to not being told you're my father, to questioning DNA and lineage, to wondering if can your legacy carry through someone who you've assigned their name and they weren't birthed with it. All of these questions running through your head, through what you have seen yourself, from what you have lived, not knowledge through a book, but through first hand experience. With all of that, would you recommend being a stepfather to another man? Would you tell men out in the world to settle down and find love with a woman who has children, embrace those children as if they're yours, give them the value as if their blood, your blood, was running through their veins? Would you recommend that to other men? This life, this pathway, this honorable act? And each of them provided a different response. And over the next couple of weeks, I'll be releasing episodes, not word for word of the conversation, but somewhat a summary of our correspondence. I'm excited to bring this to you. And I thank you in advance for listening. This this is Odd Man Out.